Champ, we got to talk about Michelle Obama and Stephen A. Smith. Michelle Obama went on her podcast and she talked about how ESPN is like reality TV, like the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And she talked about Stephen A. Smith, and her panel agreed that Stephen A. Smith would be a good enough Real Housewife. And Stephen A. Smith, of course, he went on his podcast, even though he appreciated Michelle Obama for acknowledging her watching ESPN and her and on First Take. You know, he had an awful lot to say, which I know you'll get into. You know what, Champ? I kind of like it with what Michelle Obama had to say, because usually when it comes to sports stuff, it's Barack you hear, because we all know Barack loves his college football, college basketball. You know, we've seen him do the college basketball brackets, NFL, NBA, all the other stuff. But for her, Michelle Obama, of all people, to take the time to say that ESPN is reality TV, yeah, I agree. Because nowadays, it's not just with Stephen A. Smith, Champ. Look at Kendrick Perkins. I'm sorry, but Kendrick Perkins, anytime whenever he gives a basketball take, it's like somebody burning breakfast. Like you expect to have a good pancakes, eggs, and bacon, and it's burnt to the point in which you don't even want to eat it. Matter of fact, you don't even want to give it to your dog. You just want to throw that bleep into the trash. That's how I feel when Kendrick Perkins is giving basketball takes. And when you look at ESPN nowadays, Champ, because we've had numerous conversations about this, not only on my part, but also on yours. The integrity. And Stephen A. Smith, I mean, he does look like the Real Housewife of Atlanta or Love and Hip Hop, Mama B and Lil Scrappy. I mean, let's not forget the situation between he and Braun when LeBron had to confront him based on the things he had to say about him and Bronny. And plus, you, Stephen A. Smith, you went on your podcast and saying, I would have swung on him, which we all know that wouldn't have worked out because Stephen A. is about 6'1", 180-ish. LeBron James is about 6'9", 250. And I said this because we had this conversation, Champ. Stephen A. and LeBron is kind of like two drunk dudes at a barbecue or a cookout, arguing and fighting over some petty shit. And yeah, I agree with Michelle Obama, because where is the journalism? Where is the reporting? Because prior to a match, prior to a game, you want to hear the great reporting, like you heard from Rest His Soul, Chris Mortensen, Rest His Soul, John Clayton, Rest His Soul, Stuart Scott. You know, Stuart Scott with the catchphrases, the booyah, as cool as the other side of the pillow, all the catchphrases that he uses. Nowadays with journalism, nowadays with sports media, it seems gone. It seems like an afterthought. It's more hot takes, controversial takes, rather than the actual reporting. And that's good here and there. But when it's too redundant to the point it becomes unwatchable, I mean, I get turned off. And nowadays, I don't watch ESPN. I don't watch First Take. I don't watch Fox Sports like I once did anymore. I just don't, Champ. If I'm going to watch ESPN, that's only for the live sporting events, the college football, the NFL, the NBA games. I don't even really watch First Take anymore, because nowadays, Champ, what we're doing with podcasting and how we're taking it to the next level, I don't like to brag as much. I don't like bragging, but I'm almost at 120,000 subscribers. And because we do a lot of great content, we provide a lot of great stuff for the audience because we entertain. Yes, we do give hot takes, but we also want to go by the reports. We also want to give people their due, their recognition, and we also have integrity. I just feel like for Michelle Obama, and that had to sting Stephen A. Smith. It had to sting Stephen A. Smith. I mean, after all, you took the time to take your ass to Fox News to be on Sean Hannity's show. So, Stephen A., I mean, you are kind of like a reality star. I mean, you're a journalist. I mean, you're an author. You're an advocate. Look, no one is going to deny or disregard Stephen A's hard work and accomplishments. The man's work speaks for itself. But Stephen A. Smith, two things can be true. And you did kind of look very petty. I mean, you, after all, Stephen A., lately you've been acting like a reality star. Because remember, after when LeBron James confronted you, and even though Champ and I, we don't agree how the way LeBron handled it, we felt like he could have handled it behind closed doors. At the same time, as Champ will always say, hey, he's a father. He would have done, my father would have done the exact thing. But at the same time, Stephen A., you are the same person on air that said and made a false claim that LeBron James did not attend Kobe's memorial. And at the end of the day, that is still a horrible look on Stephen A. Smith's part. Now, again, Stephen A. Smith did retract and apologize, but Stephen A., you knew, and you just still decided to say that on the air. So my thing is with journalism nowadays, with sports media, it's just not the same anymore. I am not as entertained nor enlightened anymore like when I watch ESPN or Fox Sports, Champ. If I'm going to watch hot takes or something, I'm going to watch Player's Choice. I'm going to watch Bread from the Blocks. I'm going to watch Sports for You podcast, the No Chill Gill podcast. I'm going to watch Trent's podcast. I'm going to watch a lot of other podcasts because podcast is now the new landscape, not just for journalists, but content creators like ourselves. And we do a hell of a job to provide information, to entertain the audience. And hell, Champ, you do a hell of a job because you not only cover the NFL, you also cover college football, college basketball, the WNBA. If you want more coverage on the WNBA, look no further than Undisputed World Champ. But for Stephen A. Smith, the way that he responded, I mean, of course, you're going to be petty because after all, you work for that company. Not to mention you're the face of that company. They paid you a shit ton of money. And Michelle Obama was just speaking that truth. It just seems to be your feelings got hurt. Your feelings got in the way. And that's all I'm going to say regarding that. The floor is yours, champ.
I remember, I'm going to start this off with a story. There was a teacher that I had one time, God rest his soul, Mr. Hall, when I was in middle school. I was the starting offensive lineman on the football team, right? And I made a be in his class, and he used to always stay in my face about some always something. And I remember telling him one time, I said, you're in my face all the time, and I'm passing your class. I have an 85 in your class. I have an 85. I have one of the highest grades in your class, and you are in my face all the time. Why is that? He said, I know you are BSing around. Imagine if you tried harder. And the thing is, I did not get mad because I knew it was true. You can't get mad when something's true. You can't. The thing is this. Shout out to the First Lady. Because the thing is, she said what we've been saying for the past 2 damn years. We've been saying that for the past 2 years.
And to hear it from her,
I mean, it's more of a confirmation than a revelation. We have been saying this for years, especially when it came to how they were covering the W. How they were covering the WNBA. I complained about that to the high heavens how they cover the W. Because they don't cover it unless it's some drama. All of these good games that are going on, all of these playoff contending teams, how Kelsey Plum and the LA Sparks have a chance to come back and make it to the playoffs. The fact that, Nafisa Correa is in the MVP conversation, the collective bargaining agreement, all of these stories that you don't need drama involved in.
But you still want to bring that drama because at the end of the day, you look at it and that sells. And sometimes the drama doesn't necessarily sell.
No.
There are far more things to talk about,
Yeah.
but you don't want to talk about that. You just
Yeah.
like to dive into bullshit.
And that's putting it mildly. The thing is, they covered that damn push by Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. They covered that stuff for damn near a week. They covered it for a week. And not only was that the main story, they got all of them little side stories out there between that little side beef between Ryan Clark and the Milkman and his little stuff
Bob
that he
Griffin.
had going on. Yeah,
Bob Griffin.
Bob Griffin, as BRF would say. You had that day. I mean, everything was just knocked down, drag out. It was all over the place. But since that time, nobody has covered the injury bug that has bitten the WNBA. Some of its greatest players are out at this point. Fee has been out. Asia Wilson has been out for some had been out for some time prior to recently. You know, Satu Sabali. They're not covering the W like they're supposed to. They're just wanting drama. And she was right on the money. And if you want to piggyback on what the First Lady said, it was look no further than how they covered the W. Look no further than that. Look no further than how they cover basketball. Look no further than how they cover the W, always focusing in on Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and look how they cover basketball. There's so many narratives in both basketball as far as the NBA is concerned and the W. There's so many narratives that you can talk about. And it's even better in the W because it's only like 40-something games in the regular season. You can come up with narratives quick. It's only like, because the thing is, WNBA season like 5-6 months. You can roll it. You can come up with narratives every other week. You don't have to necessarily come up with drama because the story tells itself right in front of you as the week is going, sort of like how football is. You don't have to bring the drama in. That's like when people are mad at Jerry Jones because guess what? You ain't got to bring the drama into it. There's enough drama to go around just week to week alone. There's enough storyline. So when the First Lady said that, Mrs. Obama said that, she was right on the. And the thing is, I've been saying that for almost 2 years. You've been saying that for almost 2 years. BRL, Flash. And remember, I said this last week. I think it was a couple weeks ago on your pod.
Yes, we talked
Remember,
about this about the Donald Trump situation because people talk about stick to sports, stick to sports, stick to sports.
yeah. And not only that, remember when I said podcasting is to content creators and sports creators what HBO was to comedians? Remember I said that?
You did say that.
Yes. So that's what it's going to now. And guess what? There's a lot of if you want to see drama, I don't have to pay $11 a month in order to see drama. And there's a lot of quietness is kept right about now. I think Jeff Pearlman said it perfectly. With the NFL and its coverage being bought by ESPN and Disney, you have to wonder how the journalism is going to end up, how they're going to cover certain things. That's the main concern right about now is how they're going to cover everything with Red Zone and NFL Plus being covered. You got to wonder how they're going to cover it at this point because now that you brought the coverage, how are you going to cover a story, let's say, on Dak Prescott when he's not playing well, or if he gets caught up in some stuff off the field? How are you going to cover that story now that you're up under the ESP? Now that ESPN is essentially in cahoots with the NFL. So you got to ask yourself, how's that integrity going to be? And people don't want to see this same hot takes are for the beginning of the season. You're trying to predict who's going to make the playoffs. And at the beginning of the playoffs, you're trying to see who's going to upset who. And like I said, NFL, it can go from week to week. You can see who's going to upset. But guess what? A hot take doesn't have to be every damn week.
But that's the problem with media. It seems like it's all about it. And again, rather than actual, to your point, Champ, I wanted to add on. Again, that's why the NBA, you said it yourself, the NBA brought back on NBC Because remember, back in those days, we saw the great reporting from Bob Costas and Jim
Mhm.
Gray and so many others. So I don't know, champ, but Michelle Obama, you can't get mad at the first lady for what she said.
Hell no,
And
you
again,
can't.
it's her opinion. She is podcasting like what we do for a living.
Is it
Although
really much of an opinion, or is it true? Is it a truth that your ego can't handle? I mean,
you know,
is it
you know,
really her opinion, or
have you seen Stephen A. Smith's ego lately?
that's what I'm saying? Is it really an opinion when it's true? Everybody has been saying it for years. It's not just a right and left type of thing. It's like people want to always call, some people call ESPN the quote unquote woke network, and a lot of people just left it alone because they're tired of the hot takes when it comes to sports because they don't cover sports right. So both sides, no matter what political spectrum of what side of the fence that you're on, everybody has stopped watching. I remember one guy told me on knowing certain terms, hey, I'm waiting on you to report on this because I don't know about it. I said, let me do some research on it and I get back to you. He told me this on TikTok. I get my sports news from you. I don't watch ESPN. So that's the thing. That's how come I said podcasting is to us what HBO was to comedians. Our freedom, creative control. And a lot of guys don't want to go to these networks because they don't want to be muffled at a certain point. They don't want to be shut. They don't want to be shut down. That was a big concern. That's one of the biggest concerns now that Shaq and the TNT crew, now that they're going to ESPN. That's a big concern now that the NFL network is going to ESPN. That's a big concern. That was a big concern up until he showed us that they're not going to muffle me. That Pat McAfee that everybody had with Pat McAfee's show. Everybody was concerned, is ESPN going to muffle them? So there's a lot of stigmatism around ESPN. They don't have the sports shows that they used to have. They don't have the sports reporter show that we used to have. It's not based around true journalism anymore. It's not based around true fact anymore. It's not based upon research and things that we can look at and say, that's a fair assessment. It's all about the hot takes, who can be first in saying that I had this right first. And I mean, even when Shannon Sharp, he's not there anymore. Remember when they went? Remember right after
He
Ryan Day
definitely, yep.
won the damn national championship. Is Ryan Day owed an apology? Well, he's supposed to do that. He had $20,000, but no, hell no. When he lost the Michigan game, y'all was clamoring for this man to lose his job. Y'all was clamoring for him to lose his job. Now that he has shut you up all the way up and shoved it down your throat, then guess what? You can't even say, well, we was wrong. It's all about ego now. And like I said, you can't get pissed off when something is true.
But
Everybody,
people don't want to accept or handle the truth, champ. Look, I told you brought up the Ryan Day example. I told you about the example of Cam Newton and Kimberly Martin. Remember when Cam Newton said Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, game managers? And remember what Kimberly Martin had to say, what she said about Cam Newton?
yeah,
Come to find out, everything what Cam Newton said was kind of true, but you didn't apologize. To which even Ryan Clark even went on the Pivot podcast and talked about that situation.
yeah. But the thing is this: when something is true, the only thing that First Lady said is she is just regurgitating the same information that we have been saying for years. Nobody watches ESPN, and now that Shannon Sharp is gone, the ratings are going to go down even lower. People were losing faith of Stephen A. Smith, and now that Shannon is gone, that's going to throw down the ratings even more down the tubes. Better get Cam Newton back, he's pitching. He's doing something that I thoroughly want to happen. He's pitching a HBCU college game day. By the way, I'm hoping that they give him that.
That's actually a great idea, though. Can you imagine how ESPN College Game Day would be to an HBCU?
Hey, we're gonna let the band speak on that. But I would love to see that, man. I would love to see them broadcast the Tuskegee Morehouse game and the Fountain City Classic. You know what the Fountain City Classic used to be hosted at, right? Fort Valley versus Albany State, right?
I forgot.
right here
in
in
Columbus,
Columbus,
Georgia.
Georgia. Yes.
So there you go.
The Tuskegee Morehouse game used to be hosted right here in Columbus, Georgia. The Fountain City Classic used to be hosted right here in Columbus, Georgia. Remember when Denzel used to be down here nearly every year when his son was playing for Tuskegee.
Yes.
So, yeah, he down there downtown at the Great Memorial Stadium. So, right by the Civic Center. So, I would love to see that happen. I would love to see that happen with the HBCUs. That will put the HBCUs in a better place. Plus, it'll give these young guys a lot more exposure as far as the HBCUs. I'm waiting to go back to the days where guys like Ed Too Tall Jones, who's out of an HBCU, by the way, was getting drafted #1 overall. I'm waiting to see them days come back. I'm waiting to see the days where we see guys, these hidden gems like a Jerry Rice, get snatched out of Mississippi Valley State and, end up being one of the greatest of all time. Remember, Walter Payton didn't come from a big time college program, one of the predominant schools in the
HBCU.
region. He came from an HBCU.
Same thing like Russ's Soul, Steve McNair. Same thing with Michael Strahan.
Yes. 10% of the Pro Football Hall of Fame is from HBCU. Some of the greatest players of all time, HBCU. So I would love to see that come to ESPN. But as far as, and I love to educate the masses about how important HBCU is for us, to be honest with you. At times, let's just keep it all the way 100. At times, we couldn't go to University of Miami, so we had to stay home and go to the HBCUs. That's why it's so important that HBCUs are paid homage to. So I would love to see that. But back to the lecture at hand. We have been saying what the First Lady said for years. We've been saying this for 2 years now. And we say this, and we've been saying this for the last 2 years, especially when the W start getting bigger. When the W start getting bigger, the WNBA, for those who are watching, we said the same thing. Y'all are selling drama and exploiting these young women. Y'all are not talking about sports. Y'all just want to hear about this Caitlin Clark drama that's going to stir up a lot of drama between both sides of the political spectrum, no matter what side you're on, and it's going to sell a lot of clicks that is not really worth watching because you're not talking about the game. You're talking about a bunch of darn drama. You can tell how the ESPN, Stephen A., and all of those guys at ESPN cover the W and cover the NBA, basketball in particular. How they cover that is a microcosm of what the First Lady was saying. And like I said, myself, you, BRF, Flash, we've been saying that for almost 2 years now. So I'm glad that someone with a large platform and as classy and as elegant
well-known,
and as well known as Michelle Obama has said what everybody else has been thinking for like the past 3 to 4 years. We've been saying it for the past 2 years. So that how ESPN has gone down the tubes. In fact, if it had not been for Shannon going over there for a couple of years, FS1 was beating the hell out of ESPN in the ratings. Nobody was watching First Take. Everybody was watching Undisputed.
I don't know. I don't know if people would be watching Undisputed.
Well, now they're not. But when Shannon and Skip was over there, they was watching Undisputed.
They were. But I'm talking about when Shannon departed FS1. Because remember, when Skip tried to move on and tried to bring in Paul Pierce, Richard Sherman, Michael Irvin, Keyshawn Johnson, that didn't work out well. But Chad, you forgot one thing. Michelle Obama apparently has been watching our content.
Apparently, like I said, we've been saying this for the past 2 years. We've been saying it for the past 2 years. And
if the First Lady is taking the time to actually say that, doesn't that give us the validation for us? Because again, we're not huge. We damn sure ain't. We damn sure ain't well known. I mean, if you Google our names, we only get like 1 or 2. Michelle Obama, and as someone as sophisticated, classy, elegant as her, to actually say what we've been saying is refreshing and surprising. Because again, like I said, I am not trying to say that Michelle Obama doesn't know sports. But usually when you hear sports stuff, you hear it from Barack.
Yeah.
You hear it from Michelle.
To hear it from that classy woman, man, And as beautiful as she is, man, and as educated and as honorable as she is to regurgitate the stuff that we've been saying, and I'll say it, that we've been saying down here on the street, for her to be as elegant and going into rooms that how she is, for her to be saying what guys on us on the ground floor have been saying for years, that just goes to show you that number one, she's listening to the people like us, and number two, everybody's tired of the same old crap from ESPN. I mean, when are we going to get back to the Charlie Steiners? When are we going to get back to the Rich Eisens? When are we going to get back to those guys who come with those great takes that you can take it as gold? Like I said last week, and I hate to regurgitate this, but remember when John Clayton used to say something, it was gold. The only two people right now that you can really listen to and just say, okay, if he said that happened, that happened. Well, three. Ian Rappaport,
Adam Schefter, and Shams Charania.
And Shams Charania. Am I saying his name correctly?
Yes.
And Shams Charania. That was it. And they lost big because Shams came right in and
after Adrian Wojnarowski.
Yes, he was a perfect replacement for Woj. We could call it we can't call it the Shams bomb yet, but I remember when he said something, it is gold. Those are the only three people right about now, as far as journalism is concerned, that you take it and you say, hey, if he said it happened, then it happened. Everybody else is just like, and the thing is, sports media, and I'm not trying to get political, let's just be real, but this is the truth. Sports media is just a microcosm of what people are thinking about mainstream media in general at this point. Everybody's lost faith. Nobody trusts it. There's a lot of fake news out there. There's a lot of bad articles out there. Nobody trusts mainstream media anymore. So sports media right now, especially when you think about ESPN and a lot of those guys, it's a microcosm of how people feel about the media in general. They don't trust it. They think it's whatever, depending on what side you're on, and they're turning to stuff like, and they're turning to things like the podcast. They're turning to guys like the Sports PSP podcast. They're turning to guys like Trent, Brandon from the Block, myself. They're turning to guys like that. Let's not even forget about Pitch Grid, Jones for Sports, all of those guys. Sports for You.
Fun Football podcast. Yeah.
Yes. That's who they're turning. That's who people are turning to at this point in order to get something fresh, because journalism is pretty much dead at this point, other than hot takes.
And but not only that, champ, integrity. The only person that seems to have that nowadays, as you mentioned, Brian Windhorst. Even when LeBron went on Pat McAfee show, it didn't phase, it didn't bother Brian Windhorst. Or even when he made a bad prediction regarding the Knicks, it didn't bother him at all. You even said it yourself. You jealous because of Brian Windhorst. Because anybody else would have reacted like that. They would have reacted differently.
Yeah.
But he just kept it moving. He was like, look, I made the mistake. Hey, it's not the end of the world. I'm still going to continue to live my life, and I'm still going to do my job as a reporter. But Stephen A. Smith, as I said before, champ, money don't change you. Money makes you more than what you already are. He's been this before. And speaking of Stephen A., he plays a huge role on the Real Housewives. Because after all, you go on podcasts. You go on Fox News. You go on News Nations, and you talk about politics. You talk about a lot of other things besides sports. And that ain't a problem. Heck, you even said something controversial regarding the Epstein list, which we will not get into. Google it. But at the end of the day, Michelle Obama spoke the truth, because it's not just for Stephen A. Smith. I told you before, champ, Kendrick Perkins giving basketball takes is somebody burning my breakfast.
Hey, to burn the fridge stove.
Yeah, I told you. I want pancakes, eggs, and bacon, and someone like him, he gonna burn it. I'm not gonna eat. You damn sure know I'm not gonna eat it. I'm gonna throw it to the trash. If I had a dog, I wouldn't feed it to the dog, and the dog wouldn't even eat it.
Hey, You wanted pancakes and sausage, and they gave you gruel.
Mm-hmm.
They gave you gruel. If you don't know what gruel is, that's that hard oatmeal that grandma used to make after she run out of after she run out of cinnamon. They gave you some gruel. So that's just what it is, though.
That's just what it is. But overall, Michelle Obama was absolutely correct because we've said this before. We've said it. And to hear it from her again, surprising, astounding, because normally you don't hear sports topics or conversations from Michelle Obama. You hear it from Barack. Hearing it from her to analogize it to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, to reality TV, yes, champ, it is a microcosm of mainstream media. Can't be trusted, as our president says, the fake news, journalism nowadays. That's how it is nowadays. People are more interested in hot takes rather than the actual reports and the facts because the truth hurts. Either the truth hurts or you just want to believe whatever you want to believe.
Hey, don't believe everything you read. So just being real, but I'm just gonna be real, man. You gotta either when you get criticism, you can do one or two things with it. You can take it and be spiteful, or you can take it and try to change. It looks like ESPN, especially Stephen A. Smith, have taken the other route.
They're not changing. You would
They're
think
not
they would.
changing.
They're not.
changing at all.
No, they're not. They're not. Because at the end of the day,
everybody's gonna watch it still. It doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Everybody's gonna watch it.
Has their money been jeopardized? No.
Yeah, and the only ESPN right about now is equivalent to what the WWE is right about now. Everybody's going to watch a little bit of everything else, but really they're the only game in town at this point. So
isn't it kind of interesting that you bring up the WWE because then they signed like a deal for the PLEs there?
Yeah, their pay-per-views again. So I mean, again, they're the only game in town right about now. You're covering the W, you're covering NFL, you're covering the WWE. Everything that we like and we love to consume that gives us that escape for the day is covered by ESPN. So they're the only game in town. So they're kind of like the WWE was during the PG era, kind of stale, kind of bland. But that's the only thing you know how to watch. And guess what? Unfortunately, well, Stephen A is not on that level. Unfortunately, Stephen A is their PG John Cena, but with a lot more drama.
He is. I mean, he is. So if Stephen A is John Cena, I wonder what Kendrick Perkins may be.
He ain't CM Punk, but let's just be real. He's no CM Punk.
Ahmed Johnson.
I like that.
Yeah, because Ahmed Johnson wasn't well liked, and as a wrestler, so there you go.
It's crazy, man. But like I said, it's the only game in town at this point. So where else you gonna go?
Well, Brian Windhorst, Mick Foley.
Yeah,
he's like Mick Foley. Great guy, nice person, nice human being, always treats people with respect, has integrity. And the thing is with journalism, champ, you talk about it, the lack of integrity. Stephen A. Smith fits that reality star. Because again, he has the personality to go with it. And we've known him having bad, awful takes before.
Yeah.
So
that's just what that is, man. Just gonna be real. It's the only game in town, and until the ratings go down, they're not going to change it. And unfortunately, I don't see. There used to be a time where you see the next crop of journalists really coming in. If you really want me to be honest, the best journalists are the women
on ESPN.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the L. Duncans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Monica McNutt. If you really want me to be honest, the best journalists are the women on the network. People have their opinions about Malika Andrews, but she's gonna report the facts. I mean, regardless of what you say, she's gonna report. That's her job. She's
But
gonna report the facts.
I
She's
know,
gonna
Champ.
do it at a very She's gonna do it at a very inopportunistic time. It's gonna be kind of like trying to feed me a bagel in the middle of a 4-mile run, but she's gonna report it. You got to give credit.
But at the same time, cringy. Because again, Champ, even though we know that she is a well-known journalist, but we can't ignore the fact some of the other things with Malika Andrews.
She cringy, but hey, you are reporting the facts. You have to that's your job. It's very, very cringy at times. It seems inopportunistic at a certain time. It's seen at the most, but at the end of the day, that's your job. I have not seen them refuse. I mean, the thing is, none of her reporting has been disproved at a certain point. When you look
none
at
of her reporting has been false, but at the same time, Champ, I can't ignore what happened with the whole thing with Ime Udoka.
Yeah, I can't ignore that either. But I wish you would have brought that up. But
no, I'm sorry, you brought up Malika Andrews.
I mean, look.
And I'm sorry, how am I supposed to get over Malika Andrews after how you portrayed Ime Udoka? I mean, you acted as if Ime Udoka committed murder. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chip. The report said consensual. Consensual.
I mean, but at the end of the day, man, you gotta look. People are gonna a little bit of emotion played into that because at the end of the day, you had Nia Long, dude. You had Nia Long. I mean, you can call it consensual or whatever, but at the end of the day,
we all know he fumbled the bag. We all know that.
You fumbled he ain't fumbled he fumbled a huge bag when it came to that. But of course, and I think another thing is they put and this is what piggyback into the whole drama situation. They was, when they focused a hell of a lot on the bump and grind until it came up to Josh Giddey's turn. Then they turned the other cheek. Remember? We had a discussion about that on the show. We didn't go into deep details of it. We're not, and hopefully we're not going into it now.
No,
remember the difference between the coverage Ime Udoka had when he was out here bumping and grinding versus Josh Giddey when he was out here doing a lot of unsavory things that came out about him. So I understand that part of it because they didn't have that same energy. But it goes back drama. But the thing is, hey.
And plus, not to mention when Malika Andrews even went on First Take and talked about Stephen A. Smith the way that she did, to which Stephen A. Smith had to respond. I mean, come on. It was like Malika Andrews, someone in her 30s, telling Stephen A. Smith, who's almost in his 60s, it was kind of like Malika Andrews trying to be like the mother and Stephen A. trying to be the kid. Stephen A. was like, nah, I'm a grown-ass man. Don't do that to me on the air. And when Malika Andrews was trying to interrupt, he said, I listen to you. You ain't going to interrupt me. So I'm just saying, champ.
Yeah. But she damn sure look good, though. But you're going to see it be real.
Oh my
had to squeeze that in there real good, man. Had to squeeze that.
You just had to squeeze that in there because you and Jason Whitlock, y'all can't get over Joy Taylor's peanut butter skin. Okay.
Hey man, I stay in the chocolate factory, but you got to venture out to the pharmacy sometime.